you are going to play the part of a member of the jury sitting in trial on King Charles I. Having lost the English Civil War, Oliver Cromwell has decided that King Charles should be placed on trial for the crime of treason. Your job as a member of the jury is to listen to the evidence, listen to the other jurors, that is the other students in the class, and decide at the end of the trial whether or not you believe the king is guilty or innocent. You will be the first people anywhere in the world ever to sit in judgment on their king. And you need to think very long and hard about the consequences of doing this, even if you find him innocent, yet alone should you find the king guilty. You are going to listen to the evidence and watch the film of the trial of the king. And throughout that film, there will be breaks where the teacher will summarize what has gone on in the trial, and you need to make a decision as to what you think should happen to the king. Only at the end of option 10 will your decision be final. Until that point, you can change your mind, as long as at any point you can explain to your teacher and to your fellow jurors, to other students in the class, why you think what you think. Should you find the king innocent, you can set him free. Simple as that. Remember, he is the king. Do you even have the right to place him on trial? Should you find him guilty, however, there are a series of options here along the top of the table, which you can use as the punishment for the king if you find him guilty. Now, should you find him guilty of treason, if it were anyone else, they would be executed, and probably publicly executed. Charles, however, is the king, and that is not in doubt. As I go through each of these possible punishments, I would suggest that you write down an explanation or definition of what they mean, and you consider some of the consequences that are mentioned as we go through it, so you are very clear about what you are doing as you fill out this sheet. Firstly, should you find the king guilty, you can imprison him, that is, place him in a prison. Were it anyone else who'd committed treason, this wouldn't be an acceptable punishment, but this is King Charles I. Now, being in prison, he will be alive and he will be kept here in England. Should you wish to, you could, however, exile the king. That is, send him abroad and not allow him back into the country. Of course, there's no guarantee that he would stay abroad, and abroad there would be people more than happy to assist King Charles I in coming back to England, where he might take his punishment out on you. However, once out of the country, if you can keep him out, you don't have to kill him. You don't have to fall out with God, in case God is on his side, and he won't be there to be in the way anymore. Thirdly, you could imprison the king in the colonies, that is, England's colonies in what would become the United States of America. You'd send the king by ship over the Atlantic and know that he would be there. How much control you would have over him once he was there, I don't know. Whether or not the American colonists would want him, I don't know. Fourthly, you could publicly execute the king. This would show that you were incredibly brave. It would show that you were very, very determined to do what you think is right. But of course, it makes it perfectly clear that you will have executed your king. And with that comes great responsibility. So therefore, you have the option of a secret execution. Do it quietly, one no one will know. Maybe no one will ever know if you have in fact done it. But then again, no one will definitely be able to blame you for the king's death. And finally, you can be creative. He is the king. This is a special trial. He is a special prisoner. You may have another form of punishment for the king. As we go through the trial and the film stops and the teacher tells you how the trial is progressing, you are to fill out these boxes by ticking one of these for each of the rounds. As long as you can explain why you have made your choice, everything will be progressing well. It's, however, only when we reach option 10 that your decision has to be absolutely final. When you will decide whether or not you find the king guilty or innocent of the crime of treason. Pay attention, listen to the evidence, listen to your other jurors, the other students in the class, and form your own opinion. No one has ever sat in judgment on their king before. There is no right or wrong way of doing this. Best of luck.